Ja'Marr Chase versus Justin Jefferson. Who's number one? Plus, we'll take a look at the Bengals' playoff chances coming up next on the Wincinnati podcast.
It's an exciting time to be a Bengals fan.
I'm Ace.
We got a special show as always.
The voice of the Bengals.
Dan
Ford, Willie Anderson, Corey Dillon.
The name of this thing is called Wincinnati, and I'm not going to stop.
Talk to us about that roller coaster season.
I'm still gonna give you the same AJ.
I'm gonna work as hard as I can to be the best.
Always working ever since I met y'all boys.
I gotta get your top 5 receivers.
Better, man.
It was good. Watch out for us.
Welcome to the Wincinnati podcast. I am Ace. He is Zim. Joining us on the road, Zimmy. What's going on, bro?
What's going on, people? Welcome back to the Winner's Circle once again. I'm sorry I couldn't be there for the post game. I was traveling. I'm still traveling. I hope that everybody's having a good time enjoying this team. I'm lit, bro. I feel really good about the direction of this team. We talked about the evaluation period like a couple of weeks ago. Who knew that Jake Browning and company will be at this level, playing at this, like on this level of football? And here we are, baby. Let's go.
No, for sure. Coming up on today's show, we're going to give Zim a chance to give you guys his thoughts on the Bengals Colts game. So we'll put a wrap on that. Then we got to talk Uno versus Jettas. It was a hot topic today. Who's the wide receiver one in the NFL? Some people think it's Tyreek Hill. We don't think so. We think it's between these two guys. Trey Hendrickson, is he a top 5 edge rusher? We'll get into that. And then, of course, we're going to take a look at the Bengals playoff chances. We're going to do a live simulation with the playoff machine. So we'll get into that coming up next. All right, Zim, give us your thoughts on the Bengals versus Colts. Obviously, it was a blowout. We was turned up. I know that you was turned up, even though you was getting ready to hit wheels up in the air. I know that was a pleasant beginning to your flight there. What were your thoughts just on the Bengals versus Colts, bro?
I feel like I left the whole Jake feisty moniker behind, and now I refer to him as Six God. If y'all don't know the Drake reference or whatever, and him wearing the number 6, I feel sorry for you. But he is playing like at an ultimate level. Before I get before I get on the Jake Browning information or talking about him, I want to be able
That was crazy.
I want to be able to talk about the defense in that game. I thought, for most of the season, we've been talking about Chido Bay, trying to get back to speed, trying to get his footing back. He talked about 2 weeks ago, like him playing a full game. I thought he played lockdown defense in that game, and that's 2 weeks straight. You think about Taylor Britt probably coming back in a couple of weeks for the Chiefs game. The defense is now like rounding into form in the back end. That period that we had to go through to find out like what are we like without Jesse Bates? What are we like without Von Bell? I think we passed that. I still think that they need to cut down on some of the bigger plays when they start playing like better teams. I mean, Jaguars and the Colts are really good teams, but I thought they gave up big plays and like so to speak in that Jags game. But the Colts game, whatever. The defense up front, I thought Trey Hendrickson was a nightmare. I thought Trey Hendrickson from the very beginning of the game set the tone. For people that don't know, Bernard Raymond is one of the highest rated PFF tackles in football. Braden Smith, who we talked about on the other side, didn't play. But I thought Trey Hendrickson took full advantage of him. And one thing that I noticed about Trey Hendrickson on film is anytime he's matched up with somebody that's really big or really tall, 6'8", 6'6", guys, he generally has his way. Remember when I was complaining about week 2, him going against Patrick McCarry, I was like, damn, Trey got packed up. Guys that kind of have a lower base, I feel like they do better against him, which makes me feel about like the 49ers game. Everybody's like, well, Trent Williams didn't play. Last time I saw Trey Henderson versus Trent Williams, he did really good. Guys that are bigger in stature, bigger frame, he generally has his way. And Bernard Raymond is the guy that only gave up 2 sacks, only like 21 pressures coming into that game. I thought he was dominant. I thought the front was dominant. To get off of the defense, let me just talk about where we're at right now with the Jake Browning project. I feel really good about a lot of different numbers. Is it sustainable? I think so. I think that when you look and take a deep dive into the Jake Browning numbers, let me give you some. Between weeks 13 and 14, Jake Browning is an 82 completion rate, 91.4 adjusted completion rate, 90.3 PFF grade, 91 offensive grade, 119 passer rating, 629 passing yards in the last two games. He's currently averaging 314 yards a game while other teams are celebrating their quarterback finally throwing for 300. And I get it. You could talk about um, Jake Browning throwing screens and different things like that. Did you know that Jake Browning, for his first three starts, is amongst the NFL's highest? He's second all time in yards per attempt in that time frame. So it's not like he's not pushing the ball down the field. A lot of people are like, "Well, is Joe Burrow a system quarterback?" No. What makes Joe special is that he could do everything that Brown is doing, and he improvises and makes some of these plays. And I think he pulls different triggers that you're saying Jake Browning not throw. But the sustainable portion of it, I think the screen game and the run game paired up with his strong suits is making us a very, very dangerous team. And I love where this team is headed. Regardless of what happens moving forward, I think they've got a formula that they can move forward with and say, this is a more sustainable product.
Yeah, I agree with you. And Jake is on fire right now. Right now, when you look at the ESPN QBR, which is their own metric there, 60.40. His on target percentage from SIS is 80%. His bad pass percentage is only 4%. Only 4% of Jake Browning's passes within the last few weeks have been bad. Then you look at the catchable rate, 97%. That means everything he is throwing is pretty much catchable. His touchdown percentage is 5%. Interception percentage is 2%. 8% sacks, because obviously early on he was taking a little bit more sacks than he should have. Pause. And then you look at the the net yards per pass attempt. It was crazy last week. His highest of the season, 11 and a half yards. The week before that with the Jags game, it was 8.8. Then you look at the Steelers, he had 6.6. So Jake Browning, like you said, they found a way to use him. And when a lot of people are talking about like, oh, is it a quarterback controversy? Is it a system? Is Joe Burrow a system thing? It is a completely different system. Those are casuals saying that because the Bengals coaching staff, you have to give credit to Zach Taylor and Callahan. They've come out and turned it into a play action offense. If you know anything about football, Joe Burrow doesn't play in a play action offense. He's just empty, lining it up, doing his thing. They have switched this to something that Jake was really good at in college, and they've pretty much molded this offense, taking the plays and added that part into it, and it's clearly working for them. So I agree, like you just said. I think that they found something. But speaking of finding something, we talked today about Uno and Jettas. Obviously, these two are. I think this might be the second time they faced off in the league, right? Because the first time was Uno's rookie year, his first game. This is going
Yeah.
to be the second matchup. There's a little bit of a debate going on. I know I've had this debate with people in spaces. A lot of people are talking about, hey, which receiver is better? Is it Ja'Marr Chase? Is it Justin Jefferson? Let me get your thoughts on which receiver is better.
That's a tough one. Like this is the crazy thing. I think Tyreek Hill is the MVP of the league. I think Tyreek Hill, I think we got to get out of just giving it to a quarterback. I want to start off by saying that. But in terms of who's a better wide receiver to me, it's Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson is 1A and 1B. I think Justin Jefferson can high point the football. He's got the speed, his agility, his yards after the catch, all these different things that I don't think people, because he's slimmer. I don't think people understand like he is stronger than what you think. He's. I mean, if someone had an argument for Justin Jefferson being better than Jamar Chase, I'm not arguing with that. Like I feel like he's one of the best. He's a generational wide receiver. Like I feel no type of way about that. I'm a Bengals fan. I will tell you that I think there's a lot of opportunities. I think that Justin Jefferson doesn't get, I mean, that Jamar Chase doesn't get with our offense and the target share and some of the schemed up stuff that I think will make Jamar Chase's numbers look even crazier. I know Justin Jefferson hasn't played this year for the most part. So numbers wise, it's hard. You can't even compare this year. And I don't really do that anyway because, I understand that he's injured, but I just think Jamar Chase, what makes him so special, and Justin Jefferson, that is above Tyreek Hill to me, is the fact that there is no category in receiving the football that they aren't top three in. And so when you look around the league, you can say D Hop is one of the best high point, wide receivers in football, but speed wise, he's not top 10. You know what I'm saying? And you could go every single category, whereas Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, it doesn't, if it's speed, if it's agility, if it's high pointed, if it's contested catches, they're all top three, they're top three, top five. Even guys like Debo, I think CD Lamb is coming on really strong this year. But I honestly feel like it's part of a system. But when I look at both of those guys, I mean, there's nothing that they don't do at an elite level. And to me, that's why I have them 1A, 1B. And I can't, like, it's hard for me to, I know people probably thinking, like, you're not saying Jamar Chase. Justin Jefferson is that guy, bro. Like, just to keep it 100, he's one of the best wide receivers. And when we throw around words like generational, I think he should be mentioned in there with Jamar Chase.
Yeah, I mean, I think Justin Jefferson, I think that you're right. I think those are the top two. That's no disrespect to Tyreek Hill. I think Tyreek Hill, though, I think both of those guys are more complete receivers than him. Like Tyreek Hill is a hell of a deep threat. That's where he's going to make his bread and butter. That's what he's known for. Whereas these guys, they can be deep threats. They can be short to intermediate. They can do all sorts of things. I'm going to get an edge to Ja'Marr Chase, though, just because I feel like the physicality and the way that he plays. I think if you had obviously both of these guys are good, but if you're a DB and this guy catches a screen, I'm way more worried about Ja'Marr Chase approaching me than I am with Justin Jefferson, just based off of the physicality and his vision that he kind of has. Ja'Marr kind of moves around a little bit like a running back, right, from the wide receiver position. So from a physical aspect, I think he gets it there. But I think both of these guys are talented. They both run amazing routes. And I think, like, I was in one space and a lot of people were having this conversation. And I didn't like the reason that they said Ja'Marr Chase was better because they tried to make it seem like he wasn't a polished route runner. He doesn't have body control skills. They just tried to make it seem like we've never seen an athlete like that. Like Ja'Marr Chase is more than an athlete. Like he is an athlete, don't get me wrong, but he is the total package when it comes to receiver. And so I'm gonna give a slight edge to Ja'Marr, and like someone said in that space, and like a lot of people that were Team Chase, it's funny that I'm bringing this up. A lot of people that were Team Chase said, what did Justin Jefferson do his rookie season? Right, he wasn't even the best player on his team in college. It was Ja'Marr Chase. Ja'Marr Chase was the better receiver statistically on that team, and so I think you could apply that. He came in and broke his record his rookie season, and now he's on a path right now where he's trying to separate himself from Justin Jefferson. But I think both of these guys, no matter which way you go, 1A, 1B, whichever way you go, you're not really wrong. It would be nice to see them play with each other. We'll see if that happens down the road. But it should be a really good game.
It's not impossible. It's not impossible.
I think it's going to be interesting, bro. I think they're going to try to one up each other on the field, even though they don't really have control. And I think it's kind of even, right? Because they have a backup quarterback, we have a backup quarterback. So neither of them can say, hey, Kirk Cousins was there and we had Jake Browning, or you had Joe Burrow and we had, whoever, Nick Mullins or whatever. So I think it kind of evens the playing field, and I think it's going to make for a huge game this weekend. But I'm with you. Give me Ja'Marr Chase.
Give me. Can I say this though? Two different things. One thing that Ja'Marr Chase does or has done that we haven't seen Jettas do, and someone in the comments said this too, the clutch factor of a game. Not that Jettas hasn't done clutch stuff, but in the playoff and playoff runs, like his rookie season, the amount of yards that he had, he broke every record in the playoffs from a rookie standpoint. And then he comes back and follows it up. When you think about that Chiefs game that we lost in the AFC Championship game, him leaping over two people at that spot on 4th and 6 or whatever that was, like, to me, those are things that I replay in my mind all the time. One other thing that I think Jefferson does really well is like he has like this sly way, and I hate that it's going to be like this on Sunday or Saturday. He has this sly way of selling a route and finding zones that it's gonna it pisses you off as the opposite fan. You're gonna be looking like, bro, why is he wide open? Because he sells routes so good. I just don't think that the Bengals have a corner. As much as I've been really high on Awuzie, DJ Turner and company, I'd rather see Cam Taylor Britt on Jefferson, honestly. So it's unfortunate he's not there. Another thing that I think this is my last point. Another thing that I think might work in our favor, I think Nick Mullins is going to come in with a game plan that says, I need to get the ball to Justin Jefferson. And I think the Bengals need to feast off of that. I think him with bubble screens and different things like that, they need to be on high alert. And then whoever's got the one-on-one with Addison, not trying to look ahead to the game, whoever's got the one-on-one with Addison, whether that's a Awuzie or DJ Turner, they have to be locked down because you got to allocate more resources to stopping Justin Jefferson. But I do think for this one game, it kind of plays in our hands because here's a guy that's off the like he hasn't played all season. What do you think? Like in the game plan, they're doing a walkthrough. They're like, yeah, we need to get the targets to Justin Jefferson like 12 times, and I think the Bengals should be able to feast on that.
Yeah, for sure. I think they will be able to feast on that. Someone asked, because I had the metric up there with the catchable percentage of Jake Browning at 97. Somebody asked what was Joe Burrow's 88.6%. I mean, now obviously this is a small sample size with Jake Browning, and obviously he's coming off of that historic game. So obviously the numbers are going to reflect that, but that's not the takeaway from either of those guys. That's a great percentage for either guy. But speaking of, we talk about top fives from the receiver position. Let's talk about top fives in that edge room. You had a dope tweet earlier today from the Wincinnati Pod at Wincinnati Pod on Twitter. Make sure you also hit that subscribe button. We appreciate that if you guys are watching us live. You put in the top five sack leaders through 13 weeks. We see a familiar face there, tied for third place, and Trey Hendrickson. Why doesn't Trey Hendrickson get the respect that he deserves? Because I feel like we hear, honestly, I haven't heard about Khalil Mack that much this season in
Right.
terms of, I wouldn't have thought he was number one on the list.
Nah,
I'm not
he's
going to hold.
killing.
But I feel like we hear about TJ Watt. I've even heard about Danielle Hunter a lot this season. And we still hear about Myles Garrett. And this is no shades to him, but he's not on this list right now. But he obviously, from a talent perspective, is that guy. But why do we hear about all of these other guys? The Nick Bosa's, who's not on this list, the Joey Bosa's. I feel like we hear all of these names before we hear Trey Hendrickson. Why is that, bro?
It's a couple of different things. The leading catalyst to that is that he plays for the Bengals. And I know that there's probably somebody that's saying, like, y'all just play the victor or not. It's the truth. Jesse Bates is now a Pro Bowler now, all of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though in 2021 or what was that 2020, he probably had a better season than the season that he's having right now. But he's unequivocally, everybody is like standing on business saying Jesse Bates is the best safety in football. When he was with the Bengals, that never happened that way. Trey Hendrickson, also, I will say, outside of just playing for the Bengals, the conversation, I made sure I worded this correctly. Trey Hendrickson is a top five rusher. He's not a top five defensive lineman. And in a sport where we're like, these are gladiators, you know what I mean? So the guys that aren't bigger in stature, the guys that don't wreck games and look like physically imposing like Myles Garrett, then those are the guys they kind of look at like, like I don't, you know what I mean? They're not looking at it the same. We're all consumers and we're looking for the biggest, strongest, fastest person. And he doesn't look like that. On his Instagram, he's got a picture of him holding a kitten, like patting it. You know what I mean? Like like, but on the field though, I've said this on the show. I really appreciate his personality and how it meshes with this team. He is a complete psycho. And I don't think that people understand, like, when he goes into blackout Trey or trigger Trey mode, he did you see the one where he makes the play and he still got his arm locked with Minshew and he just starts doing his prayer dance, like the thing where he points at the God or whatever. And
Yeah.
and Mitchell was like, "Get off of me!" I don't know if y'all seen that, but he is a complete psycho, and I love it to death because I joked about this in the space. I said, "Bro, when he sacks somebody, he should like whisper prayers in their ears or something like that." I just think people will be freaked out by him spreading the word and being like in his beliefs. He's a dope guy, bro. Like that's a guy I would love to interview him, man. I feel like he's so interesting. And like if you're not a Bengals fan, like I said, he's not physically imposing when you see him. So that in itself is gonna take him down a notch. And then he plays for Orange and Black. And anytime somebody plays for our team, they demote them and they don't judge us the same. They don't like that. And I don't know why that's like that. But it is what it is. I feel like other teams get empathy throughout. If a Browns player has a good game or something, you'll have like all 31 other teams tell you like, "Oh my God, like this dude, like this such and such is crazy." Denzel Ward, like they'll name anybody because it's like this level of empathy because they've been bad for so long. I don't know why the Bengals don't get that same level of empathy like for our players, but I don't know. I think it kind of keeps us under the radar, so it is what it is.
Yeah, and you could argue that some of these guys, like when we look at the list, Khalil Mack, he does have a Joey Bosa. He also has Thule, who's having a good season, right? You look at TJ Watt, he's got Ali Highsmith, he's got Cam Hayward, Daniil Hunter. I'm not sure who he's got really over there, but Trey Hendrickson, I would argue that he doesn't have the supporting cast in terms of an edge rusher just at that level. Like some of these other guys, you talk about Nick Bosa, now he's got Chase Young over there, Arik Armstead. I don't think Trey has the same kind of cast of characters around him. That's not a shot at our players because I think Sam Hubbard is good. I think DJ Reader is good. BJ Hill is good. But when you're talking about like Joey Bosa, like he doesn't have another guy over there that's capable of getting 12, 13 sacks on their own as well, right? So I think that needs to be taken into account. I would hope that the kid gets some all pro votes this season. That would be dope. All pros, like I know Pro Bowls are nice and all of that, but I feel like people don't really get that respect like that until they get an all pro. And I think Trey is playing at a level right now where he could get one of those spots, like maybe second team, like similar to Jesse Bates way back a few years back. And Jesse's probably going to get first team all pro now that he's out of Cincinnati, whereas before he could only get second team. So it'll be interesting to see, but dude is definitely deserving of it. And we also have to think about, which I'm not saying this doesn't apply to the other guys, but he doesn't get the same holding calls as some of these other guys in terms of sacks that he could have had as well. But yeah, I agree with you. I think Trey Hendrickson is definitely top 5 and definitely needs to be in that conversation. Speaking of the conversation, BJ Hill, real quick on the mic'd up. You said that was one of the best that you've heard from this, and then we'll get into the playoff predictions.
Yeah, I just thought the BJ Hill mic'd up where he was like, "Yeah, it's just 1 versus 5." Like this dude is a straight up comedian. He gets the pick. He's like, "Yeah, y'all got to put me on offense now." That was a good mic'd up. I like the way it's edited too. It's like 2 minutes and like 30 seconds or so. Like if y'all haven't seen the mic'd up, go to Bengals, on Twitter, Bengals, Instagram, whatever. That is a really good mic'd up. Mike Hill's got some gems, but that BJ Hill one right there, it was good. It was fun. You could kind of see him working that interior and doing a good job at what he does playing football. And there's so many guys on this team that I think are underappreciated by us. And I think they're rounding in the form, man. I think the one thing I know Jake Brown is getting all the highlights. The defense is like really, really starting to make some strides in this thing, and I think that that's the major key. If they stop the run, we're about to get into this playoff, simulator. If they can stop the run, I think it sets up very nice against some of these matchups that we're about to look at.
For sure. One thing that I would say BJ Hill did in this game was cooking. And speaking of cooking, let's toss it to our sponsors with the new CTV wings, Midwest Best Barbecue. Shout out to Midwest Best Barbecue, 669 Justice Court in Loveland, Ohio. Stop in, let them know Ace and Zim sent you. They got the Uno wings, they got the Grippo wings, They've got the CTB wings, which is going to be a lemon pepper buffalo flavor inspired by Atlanta. Stop in there, get some of that good food, especially with the Bengals once again playing at home. If you aren't able to make it down to Paycor Stadium, make sure you go to 669 Justice Court in Loveland, Ohio. Get you some wings. They'd love for you to watch the game there. So if you're wondering, will they let you watch the game there? Of course, because they are two diehard Bengals fans in there with Nicole and Tim. So definitely stop in, get your food. But now we're going to go into the playoff machine, the playoff simulation. Obviously, the Bengals are in this position. It was crazy because at the end of the game, the Bengals were in the playoffs. And when the Broncos ended up getting the win over the Chargers, it knocked them from the seed into the playoffs all the way out to the 10th seed. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at some of these games between week 15 and week 18, and we're going to look at some scenarios where we think the Bengals could end up in the playoffs. So let's kick it off with week 15. I went ahead and picked week 15 for us already just for time purposes to get it in. It's a big weekend this weekend because you've got the Colts and the Steelers. So they're at the Colts. Then you also have another key game with the Browns against the Bears. Then you also have Detroit at the Broncos. You have another one in here with the Texans and the Titans. These are key games. You also had the Bills in there, another team tied with Cincinnati against the Cowboys. You had the Ravens and the Jags. So
Big Jags fan, big Lions fan this weekend.
Yeah, big Jags fan, big Lions fan. So we're gonna take the Lions. We're gonna take the Dolphins. We're gonna take the Titans because the Texans will not have C.J. Stroud. I don't know what Davis Mills is gonna look like outside of that.
Is that confirmed?
I believe it. I believe he didn't practice today. It was confirmed he didn't practice today. So we'll see if he's able to clear concussion protocol. But a lot of people feel like it's trending that way. But obviously things can change and people can get out.
Remember when Brock Purdy cleared concussion protocol in like 24 hours? Does anybody remember that? That was crazy. That was kind of crazy that they cleared him for that game. I hope TJ.
You see how TJ Watt apparently didn't report and then went back to concussion protocol after the game.
Yeah, like he shouldn't be playing. He should. I mean, this upcoming week, and they need to take a pick from those guys.
Yeah,
they sent him back out there knowingly that he got a concussion, and we all saw it.
So for the AFC teams, we're gonna have the Raiders winning. We're gonna have the Colts winning against the Steelers. We're gonna have the Browns winning. We're gonna have the Titans winning against the Texans. And if those things happen, right now you're looking at Cincinnati in the 6th seed. You're looking at the Colts in the 7th seed. So let's go to week 16. This is where it starts to get more interesting. And Zim, I'll let you start picking some of these. Bengals versus Steelers. I'm pretty sure we're going with the Bengals here, right?
I'm going Bengals.
All right. Next one. Another key one. Browns at Texans.
I'm going Texans. Have you seen the Browns injuries this week?
Browns have a lot of injuries. Definitely Grant Delpit went down. Okonkwo went down. They lost
Maurice
tackle.
Hurst. They lost 3 tackles. They lost Maurice Hurst. They lost Delpit. Aronco. Like, bro, they are really, really trying to piece this thing. I mean, not to mention they lost their starting quarterback and their starting running back too. So
for sure.
I'm going Texans on that. I think Stroud is back by then. I think Nico Collins is back by then.
Bills at Chargers. No Herbert.
I'm going Bills.
All right.
Bills are a dangerous team for a lot of teams. I think Lou has got a good recipe for them, but Bills are a very dangerous team for a lot of different ops.
Broncos at home versus the Patriots.
That's a big game, but Broncos are the one team that I think is like everybody better keep a good watch on the Broncos.
Ravens at 49ers.
49ers all day. I think that game is not even going to be close.
Raiders at Kansas City.
Kansas City.
That sounds like it hurts you to say that, bro. I ain't gonna hold you. Colts at the Falcons.
A sharp pain just came on my side, like a little bit, like the Chiefs first. But all right, what was the game?
Colts Falcons, bro.
I'm gonna go Falcons been balling lately. I'm gonna go Falcons.
Falcons. Jags at the Bucks.
Jags.
All right. So right now that puts Cincinnati at 9-6.
Mm-hmm.
They're remaining in the 6th seed. The Cleveland Browns are the 5th seed at 9-6. Right now, as it stands, Cincinnati will be going to Kansas City as it stands right now. 7th seed is still the Colts. 1st seed is Baltimore. Miami, we didn't pick that one. Miami at or no. Cowboys at Miami.
Oh, Cowboys all day.
Cowboys. So actually,
Cowboys gonna kill
that
them.
would make it Cincinnati taking on Miami. That is what you don't want to see.
I don't.
And then
That's
you'd have the
the
Colts and
one
Indy.
team, bro. There's nobody in the AFC that I don't think that the Bengals have a really good shot at beating. The Miami
Right.
Dolphins are this crazy wild card to me that I don't think that they have an answer for Tyreek Hill. And I know that the Dolphins looked bad the other day, but Tyreek Hill missed most of that game. By the time he comes back, it's like too late. And I mean, Dolphins should have won. They were almost handed a football game. They looked really bad, but I just a team that scored 70 points in the NFL season, and then the Bengals giving up all of those big plays throughout the season. I just can't forget that. Even though I know that they're playing really well, that's the
Mhm.
one team I think the Bengals actually got a real good shot against the Ravens, the Chiefs, all those things. The Dolphins are the one team that I think that they could put up points really fast, and I don't like that for the Bengals. I don't want to put Jake Brown in a situation where he's got to come back.
Right. All right. So now we're on the week 17. Right now, the Bengals are still the 6th seed at 9-6. Where are we going with the Jets at Cleveland?
I'm gonna go Jets. If Zach Wilson's playing the way that he's playing, I'm going Jets. That's a big game right there,
Jets over Cleveland?
bro. I
The
think
way, okay.
Brees Hall has been coming
Okay.
on pretty strong lately. I thought the Jets just had their best victory of the season.
I
Zach
don't know.
Wilson
I'm
throws
not
for
gonna lie. Trusting in Zach Wilson is a little nasty. I
it
don't
is
know.
nasty, but the Jets defense is just. I think it's a
It's
really
pretty
good
good.
defense. It's a really
It's
good
true.
defense. I mean, you're talking about Joe Flacco. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to put my trust in Joe Flacco. And the injuries for
Gotcha.
the Browns are so like on defense are mounting up really crazy.
Dolphins at Ravens.
I'm gonna go Ravens. I've been saying I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna defer to you. I've been saying Dolphins
Yeah.
up until Dolphins the other day. Up until I saw
Dolphins the other day was nasty.
Dolphins the other day was so trash. Like they were given 21 points and they scored 28 or something like that. Like that was a nasty game. Uh, I just Tyreek Hill is just so dangerous though, bro. He's the MVP of the league, and once he gets to going, I know we got DJ Turners of the world.
Mhm.
I just don't like them in that situation. I don't know why. I,
Yeah, with it being in
and then you got A
Baltimore
Chain.
too. With it being in Baltimore too.
Now, I would say this. All this time, I've been looking at the Dolphins schematically. I thought that because the Ravens blitz so much on third down, that's the last thing you want to do to a team like the Dolphins, where the ball's coming out quick hitches and
Mhm.
stuff like that.
Yeah,
I think that's the recipe to get the Ravens cooked. I just
yeah.
don't think defensively they can do anything against the Ravens, though.
Steelers at the Seahawks.
Seahawks cooked. Steelers aren't making the playoffs.
Patriots at the Bills.
Bills. And
Bills.
that's going to be a tough game. You know, Bill. I don't know if y'all seen the report. Bill Belichick after the season is going to be parting ways.
This is an interesting one. Raiders at the Colts.
Colts. I'm gonna go Colts. We made the Colts look so bad.
Panthers at the Jaguars.
Jaguars.
Titans at the Texans.
Mm.
I think I'm gonna go with I got the Titans winning this one this weekend, but week 17 with CJ Stroud back, I don't know. Houston at home. What are you
Hey, look,
thinking?
man, that's a tough one too because I don't know the health of I'm gonna go Texans.
Mm-hmm. Chargers at Broncos. No Herbert.
Broncos. Broncos
Uh,
are the one team that the Bengals, if the Bengals need help, y'all better be looking at the Broncos because that's the one team that is not trying to give you help right now. They can knock you out. So
Most important game of this week: Bengals at Kansas City.
I'm going Bengals, bro.
That gets the Bengals to 10-6. They move up to the 5th seed. They'd be playing Jacksonville. You also have the Colts as the 6th seed against Miami. Then you have the Browns as the 7th seed versus Kansas City. And you have the Ravens as the 1st seed. That's going to bring us to week 18. Steelers at the Ravens.
Ravens.
Broncos at the Raiders.
Broncos.
Bills at the Dolphins.
Ooh. I'm going to go Bills.
That doesn't really. I don't think that's going to have any impact on this game. Jags at the Titans.
I'm gonna go Titans in the upset. I feel like they're in division, run the ball, Titans.
Texans at the Colts.
I'm gonna go Texans.
Kansas City at the Chargers.
Kansas City.
All right. The last one that we have here: Browns at Bengals.
Bengals, bro. Damn, did I just have the Bengals winning out, y'all?
Bengals went out.
All they got to do is run the football, bro. All they got to do is run the football.
Looks like if they went out, this is the situation we're looking at. Baltimore is the number 1 seed. They get a first round bye. They end the season 13-4. Then the next round, or the wild card games, are Kansas City, which is the 2nd seed, versus the Texans, which would be the 7th seed. Miami Dolphins, or hold on, my bad. Jacksonville Jaguars are the 3rd seed, 10-7, versus the 10-7 Miami Dolphins. 4th seed, Buffalo Bills will be taking on the Cincinnati Bengals in the first round. Bengals end at 11-6, but it seems that Miami chokes away that 1 seed in the AFC East. Looks like Buffalo gets it, and we go back to playing the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo in that playoffs.
Hey,
I think that's the first time I've seen that. I don't think I've seen that yet.
Bro, that Texans versus Chiefs game could have the makings of one of the best upsets in the history. Like, I don't know, man. I like the Texans with C.J. Stroud and Nico Collins. It's unfortunate Tank Dell went out because I would definitively tell you, like, I think that they cooked them. That's a close game, though. You can never, the playoff, the championship level pedigree of the Chiefs, that I think that plays a part in this whole thing. But what did you feel about the bracket just now? Did you thought that?
I think the ending bracket is pretty legit, bro. Like, you can talk about like whether games are gonna go here and there, but I think this bracket that we have, these are playoff teams. These are teams that you definitively know are playoff teams. Like, no offense to the Colts, I don't know if they really a playoff team. Like, I don't know if they're better than Houston. I don't know if they're better than Miami. I don't think that they're better than the Jaguars. I don't think that they're better than the Bills. I don't think that they're better than the Bengals. Like, all of those teams that ended up in the playoffs in front of them, I don't think that they're better than. So I love the pool of this because I think this would be an exciting playoffs. You talk about Buffalo, Cincinnati, Miami, Jacksonville, or Florida.
What do you think
showdown?
What do you think about us playing the Bills again? You know how hard it is to beat
playing the Bills again is a tough one, bro.
To beat a team 3 times straight, that's super tough.
Yeah. I think it would still be an exciting game though. It'll be interesting, man. Like, can Jake Browning go into Buffalo and get the dub? I think so let me ask you this. You talked about Miami being the team that you don't want to see. If you had a choice between Miami or Buffalo, who are you taking? Because I think if I'm not mistaken, if we were to somehow switch this up some type of way, I think Miami would actually be coming to Cincinnati in that kind of scenario. Which one would you take?
Man, that's tough.
I think I might rather see Miami over the Bills, bro. I think I might rather see Miami, and that's only because
the quarterback.
Yeah, I think Tua might give me a couple. I haven't seen Tua really.
You think Joshua not gonna give you a couple?
I think Josh will, but I will say this. I think Josh's resume in terms of actually doing stuff in the playoffs
Right.
is way more extensive than Tua, who we've never seen in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's a tough one. You know, if the Bengals defense steps
If
up
they
like
were
it,
coming to Cincinnati, I think it's different, right?
yeah, yeah. I don't know, man. Like, Joe Burrow is that secret weapon. This is the first time I think we've even said his name for, we're 40 minutes in. Joe Burrow is that superpower that I wouldn't even be having a conversation about none of this. I'd be like, yeah, we're going to the bowl.
Yeah.
The uncertainty of, is this a sustainable product with Jake Brown and I haven't gone to wars with him. I haven't been down 21-3 with him
Mm-hmm.
in Arrowhead. I don't know what that looks like with him. And those are the things that I think if you're an outsider looking in, you're probably thinking, well, I rather, like the Bengals, they got a backup quarterback. But I will say this: I think that run game and that screen game is going to knife up some people, and it's not going to go away.
I not the more I think about this,
I feel like they will
I
kill the
might
Bills. I
actually
think they
want to
will run
play
all over the.
Buffalo.
I think they will run all over the Bills, bro.
I think they will run all over the Bills
I
too.
think
And
they
I
will
think
run
Chase
all
Brown
over
and
them.
Mixon would go kind of crazy. Like that
Chase
would make
Brown,
the game close off rip.
Chase Brown makes me feel like I have like a guy that can win me one more game. Like if I
Mhm.
get into a first, you know what I'm saying? Like the way I feel about Joe Burrow, I'm like, if I get in the playoffs, I'm running the table. I feel like Chase Brown. And I'm sure the Ravens feel this about like Keaton Mitchell or something. It's just like this one X factor that you're just like, man, I think if I get this guy open field, he's gone. And you know what I mean? Like, and I think that that's the same thing I'm saying about the Dolphins is that you don't want to get in a situation with your quarterback on the road, never played in the playoffs, and then you got the other guy on the other side running like a 7-yard bomb, and now they're like, yeah, you got to respond. Like, you got to respond when you're playing the team. I think the Bills, they're not as much as Josh Allen gets that highlight tape. I don't look at them as the explosive offense. I think Kincaid poses problems. I think that they can methodically move down the field. But I think Lou has a good formula for it, and it is hard to beat a team 3 times straight.
Here-
All these games will be tough, bro. It's
Here's
not gonna be
here's the
easy.
crazy part, bro. Based off of the games, the way we said that they're gonna go. Say we lose that Browns game, we are out of the playoffs. If we
Mm,
lose that, it comes down to whoever wins that game gets the fifth seed. That's kind of crazy to go from the fifth seed all the way out of the
oh,
playoffs.
yeah, that Brown. The
Let me
most
see.
important games we beat the Colts. That was one of them. The other two important games to me is the Steelers and that Browns game are very, very important. There are some scenarios and tiebreakers that can work in the Bengals' favor if they beat those two teams. The Chiefs
Right.
game in conference does pose some problems too. Um, I'm not. I think this is super reactionary, but I like the Bengals versus the Chiefs. I really do in that game. I don't know. I
Yeah.
think the Bengals. I think aren't you? Say you win 3 out of 4. Don't you feel confident that we're in?
I do feel confident that we're in if we go 3 out of 4. And I do feel confident. I think the third game, if they do take care of business against the Vikings and the Steelers, I do think that the third game could be the Chiefs one, just because the way that the Chiefs are playing right now. I know people are going to look at this and say, you guys are saying that because you're Bengals fans. No, I legit think that because this is a team that they have historically struggled with. Now they're getting another wrench kind of thrown at them with Jake Browning. Just when they're starting to get used to Joe Burrow, now they have Jake Browning and this play action offense that they're not used to. Meanwhile, their offense is struggling and they're not able to live up to what they've been in the past. Right? We just watched them lose a couple of games uncharacteristically. I
You
don't think
talk
it's
and you
far
talking about the
fetched to say
Chiefs.
that the Bengals could do it. Yeah, the Chiefs.
You know the one thing I think too. You watch the Bengals pack up Kenneth Walker, ETN, all these good running backs. Are you afraid of Pacheco? Like I know in the AFC Championship game he got a
Nah, I
screen, but go
yeah.
look at his runs in that game. I'm not. I don't give a damn about their run game. Like
No, I'm not really worried about.
it's
I
really
think it's a
packed.
little bit of fool's gold to where people think that they can kind of run on the Bengals, which I think Zach Moss kind of found that out, right? Like
Right,
I think people think that they can run on the Bengals and then until they try to.
right.
So nah, I'm not like, not saying that I don't respect Pacheco. Like, I think he's a decent back. I don't think he's like top 5 or top 10, honestly. I think he's decent, but no, he's not a guy that I would be scared of.
You know what Pacheco remind me of? He reminds me of Patrick Beverly. Like he's just going like he runs so hard and he'll have like 2 yards and you'd be like, oh my God, he's running so hard. And that's how Pat Bev be playing on defense. He just be running all over the place. Then you look at the stat line, you be like, bro had 40 yards running like he a demon. Like, get out of here. Like, I don't know. I think that game, if you take Mahomes off that team, I think that's a 5-6 win team. I don't think that roster is that good. Their corners have really stepped up, and I really like them. But I think I like my chances against that team. I really would have liked it with Joe Burrow, but you can never doubt Mahomes though. So it is what it is.
For sure. Well, that has been this episode of the Wincinnati Podcast. We will be back likely on Friday. So we're going to do it a little bit different, obviously, since we switched to Wednesday to accommodate Zim's travels plans. So we're going to do the same Friday. Obviously, the game is Saturday, so definitely be sure to check in here. Follow us at the Wincinnati Pod on Twitter. Follow me at New Stripe City. Follow him at Zim Houday and at Zim_Houday on Instagram. Definitely be sure to keep it locked here. Follow us wherever you guys get your podcast. We're under the name Wincinnati. Also, be sure to check out the Bengals Pulse with Jake and mine. We truly appreciate that. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you guys on Friday.
It's an exciting time to be a Bengals fan.
I'm Ace.
We got a special show as always.
The voice of the Bengals. Dan Ford, Willie Anderson, Corey Dillon.
The name of this thing is called Wincinnati, and I'm not going to stop.
Talk to us about that roller coaster season.
I'm still going to give you the same AJ. I'm going to work as hard as I can to be the best.
Always working ever since I met y'all, boy.
I gotta get your top 5 receiver.
Better, man.
Good. Watch out for us.